We're going to be using a 3.5mm crochet hook. We're going to start with a slip knot. We're going to chain 20. We're going to crochet in the round like we do for the single crochet pot holder video. I'm going to crochet a single crochet in the back bump in the second chain from the hook. I'm going to put a stitch marker in that first single crochet. Crochet a single crochet in the back bump all the way to the last stitch right next to the slip knot. It's our last bump. So when you crochet in the round, you're not going to chain one and turn. You're going to continue and crochet right on the other side of your foundation chain. So you're just going around instead of back and forth. Single crochet. Go to the next stitch. Let's put a stitch marker there. Just in case we're not sure when we come around. I'm going to work my tail into my project. The tail will be hidden on the inside of the sunglass case, so if you don't want to work it in, you can just cut it short. You don't want a long one because you're going to be putting sunglasses down inside there and it might get hooked on it every time. I'm going to cut my tail off now that it's worked in a little bit. Keep going all the way down to your stitch marker. We're at the end of that row. We're going to come around, put a stitch where the stitch marker is. If you did the pot holder that I did in the previous video, this is going to work the exact same way as far as going around in circles. We're not going to fold it, but you're just going to work in around the same way that the pot holder did. So the edges will curl up and you will turn them inside out. At this point, you probably won't need your stitch markers anymore. Stitches should be obvious. Just make sure you don't miss any stitch that might be in the corner. Keep going around. Corners are starting to curl up. I'm going to turn those inside out. I like to add a custom tag. You can also buy already made tags on Amazon. You can get them at craft stores that just say handmade, and they also have the holes in them. So I'm going to show you how I attach this to a sunglass case. So depending on what shape you have, you want to make sure that you're putting it in the right place, because if you start it at your first row, it's going to hang over your project. So you don't want that. So you want to make sure you wait until you've got far enough up. So I think this row is pretty good for this one. So because you want this to be this way, to crochet into the hole, you hold it like it's going to go, and then you flip it. Put your hook through the hole. Make sure it's not upside down. Take your hook, bring your yarn through the hole, and then tighten your stitch. That's what you do for the first hole, and then you keep crocheting. Until you get far enough over that you can line up with the next hole. So now you take your hook and you put it through the hole just like you did before. Take your loop, pull your loop through, tighten your stitch, and continue to crochet. They come in different sizes. You can get straight ones like this. These are a little bit easier to crochet on there because they don't have the big oval space, because when you come around you will need to crochet behind that. And if you get the straight ones, then there's not as much area to crochet behind. You can also get them that are wood. The wood ones are a little bit tricky because I find that this piece of thin wood right here breaks pretty easy. This is just a handmade with love that I got at the store. It's made out of metal, so you can just get those if you don't want to get a custom one. You get to this part, you see the stitch that goes over the hole. You need to go into that. Then you need to go behind and find your next stitch. If you don't want to do a tag, then you just keep going around and you don't have anything in the way. Here and do that one. Make sure you pull that one nice and tight so the loop in the back isn't big, because you had to stretch pretty far. Keep crocheting in the round all the way till you get to 6.5 inches. We're going to go to 6.5, but right now we're right about 6. So I'm going to show you an option that you can do. You can attach one of these hooks onto the back. This is optional, but I like to do this if you want to keep your sunglass case inside your purse. Then you can attach this to the hook on the purse, or if you're going to carry it in a backpack, this will go onto your backpack as well. So I'm going to show you how you can crochet that into the back of it. Just kind of put it back here on the edge. You hold it right on top of your stitch where you're going to go. So we're going to go into that single crochet, so you just go over, and it'll slide around, but that's okay. Depending on the size that you get will depend on how many stitches you go into it. You just go as far over as you have stitches. You can stretch it a little bit if you want to make it tighter, or you can just leave it. This one I did 4 stitches, and then you just keep going into your next stitch. Keep going around till you get to 6.5. When you come back around to where you have your clip, you don't do anything different. You still go into the same stitch just like you would before. You may have to just push a little bit harder because that piece of metal is on the bottom. And if you want your hook to be closer to the top of where you're going to put your string, you can move this up higher. I just like to have a few stitches above it, but you can definitely move it up. We are right at 6.5. So the main body part is over. When you stop that row, have your last stitch be right on the end. Don't go into the curve. You will have a stitch that's in the curve on both sides, so don't crochet into that one. We're gonna skip that one. Now we're going to make a row for inserting your string, your tie string. So when you skip a stitch and you want to have a space there, you need to do a chain 1. So chain 1, skip that next stitch, go into the stitch next to it with a single crochet. Chain one, skip one, go into the next stitch with a single crochet, chain one, skip one, single crochet. Continue to do this all the way around. Okay, I did the last single crochet after skipping. You can see you have spaces. So if you look at it, you will see that because we crocheted in the round, this end of that round is taller than the beginning. So we need to try to end our project with the rows matching up. So from here, we're going to turn our work and start crocheting in the opposite direction and end up right back here. So turn your work, and in each space that we made, we will do 2 single crochets. That will take the place of the single crochet and the chain one. Two single crochets in that space. If you're reading a crochet pattern and it ever tells you to do an increase stitch, and it'll usually, the pattern will just say INC, all that means is the same stitch twice in a stitch. So if you're doing a single crochet, you put 2 single crochets in the same stitch. That is an increase stitch. We're not going to chain or anything. We're just going to put 2 more single crochets in the next space. Two more single crochets in the next space. Keep putting 2 single crochets in each space as you go around all the way to where you started. Okay, that is the last space that I just did 2 single crochets in. And now we will connect these 2 sides. We will join. So if you're looking at the stitch, here's the first stitch that you made, the first single crochet that you made in the hole, in the space. That's where we're going to go. So insert your hook through both of those stitches. Yarn over, pull through, and then pull through that one. That is a slip stitch. Okay. This is going to be where our drawstring will go. So now that we have our rows back to being equal, we're going to do one more round of single crochets. We will chain one and then put a single crochet in that first stitch. Keep going with one single crochet in every stitch, and if you want to put a stitch marker, because when you're starting a row like this, it might be hard to tell. Where your first stitch is. So keep doing a single crochet all the way around in every stitch. Okay, after you do the last stitch, take your stitch marker out, and that is where you will do a slip stitch. So insert your hook, yarn over, pull through and pull through. And then now we are going to do a slip stitch all the way around in the back loop only. We have back loop and front loop. We are only going to slip stitch in the back loop only. So there's the first one. Insert your hook. Make sure you don't pull tightly on this, because when you're doing a slip stitch around the top for a finished look, you don't want your outside edge to be pulled in. Otherwise it'll look like everything else is wider and that comes in. So be pretty loose with your slip stitch. Don't pull your yarn too tight. Don't tighten each stitch when you're done. Just keep everything nice and loose. Go all the way around. Get to your last stitch. Slip stitch. Cut your yarn. Pull through. So 2 stitches over, we will put our crochet needle in between the back and the front loop. And then go behind the stitch. This is the stitch where you started from. Bring that through here and then through the front. And then bring it across the front. hide your tail, weave your tail in any way you want. Just push it through some of the stitches. Cut it, straighten it out. You've got some different options for using a drawstring. You can use ribbon. I am going to use some leftover polyester cord that I have. This is very similar to a drawstring that you might get on a sunglass case that you buy in the store. So you need about, lay it in front like it's gonna go on there. Cut it a little bit longer than you need because when you weave it through, it will take up some of the length. Okay, take your crochet needle and if you were doing ribbon, you would just put your ribbon in there. Start on the corner. You're going to start weaving. You can see that there is a little space right here between where your two open spaces are. This is where we started with our chains and then we turned our work. So put your hook inside that first hole, weave it through. When you get to your last space, go into your last space, but come up through that little tiny opening that you have where you did your turning your work. So this is going to be too long. Cut a little bit of it off, tie a knot. If your holes seem stretched out, you can tie 2 knots just to make the knot a little bit thicker. You can also buy paracord at the store. That's another good option if you just want to buy a thing of paracord in a neutral color that you can use on all of your sunglass cases. This is a little large for a reading glass. If you want to make them smaller so that they fit your reading glasses better, then all you do is change the number of chains that you start with. So we started with a chain 20. I would go down to maybe an 18, but everything else is exactly the same. So you could also make it bigger. If you have sunglasses that are bigger and they're a little tight, then you can chain more.